Greetings, family. Greetings, greetings. This is the
Peace.
Clarity Code. Peace, peace. Thank you so much for joining us. This is a new show that's happening here. I'm one half of what happens here. My name is Omar from the Omziel Healing Sanctuary.
Peace. And I'm Cameron from ARMEW. That's Axial Release Massage and Energy Works.
Excellent, excellent. So we seem to have found something absolutely beautiful and wonderful here, and we are cultivating some of these things.
Mm-hmm.
So I say thank you for joining in. Anybody who's jumped in at the moment, thank you so much for tapping in. We greatly appreciate it, big time.
Big time.
Um, and
We're
then in
also
addition to that, go ahead.
we're also broadcasting on onthewakeupradio.com. That's onthewakeupradio.com. Big shout out to super producer Cindy Ashby.
Big time shout out. Thank you so much for providing these platforms. That way we can get this information out to people. One of the things that I wanted to say is, I wanted to get very clear on the message and the mission of the Clarity Code. And one of them, for me, the unique perspective is doing our best to bring actionable tips and also a new way of thinking. That way we can add value to people's lives.
Right. And for me, it's really to bring the mystic back into the scientific.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right. Now that we got those things out of the way, let's
Mhm.
talk about what's been going on these days, right? Let's jump right in, man. We're living in this crazy world, and there's lots of
Right.
things going on around here. I mean, the messages that they're throwing at us are wow, big time, man, just all over the place.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of it. People are stressed out because of politics, geopolitics, whatever they're paying attention to, whether it's TikTok, social media in general. I don't want to call it any platform, but people are so in this realm of high stress. And so we think it's important to address that and really bring people back. Clients come to us and I'm stressed out, but I don't know why I'm stressed out. Really? You don't know why you're stressed out? Or is it that you haven't taken time to think about why you're stressed out?
True that. True that. This is the crazy thing, Cameron, is that we don't even know that we are, right? I've made mention that to that before in the past about the fish, right? When you ask him about the water, he says, "What water?" it's
Right.
it's just part of the environment at some point. Like it just blends right in. We don't even
Hmm.
know. Like we're like,
Right.
oh, it's just life. Life is just stressful and all that. That's all it is. That's it.
Right.
But it's not. It's not a normal situation that we're in. No,
No,
I don't believe that.
not at all. Not at all. And this is something I don't even know if this relates, but it might. I don't know if we talked about it before. Did you see this? Somebody took, I don't know if it was like a glass or a plastic container and somehow had it sitting on top of the water. And then they did a vacuum thing, sucked out all the air, so all the water came and now filled up this thing. And then the fish were able to come up, and now they're in a new dimension and able to view our world through a different lens. And that was trippy to me. Like, oh, this is something that, generally speaking, fish have never been able to do.
Mm, mm, mm. Wow.
And I mean, I
Wow.
don't know how it fits in, but every time you mention fish, I think about that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they could go
And-
back, guys, I was in this place in this thing.
Right.
Like, how do they describe it when, like you said, this is their world, and now something else
Right.
has been entered
Right.
into their world to distort what
Right.
their perception of
Right.
what they thought was reality.
Exactly. That was in the last show I made reference to the book and I couldn't remember the name of it, which I left it in the show notes. But what it is hyperspace, and it's by Mikio Kaku. He's the one. Yeah,
Yeah.
You know Mikio Kaku.
Michio Kaku.
Michio Kaku, exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. He's wrote a number of great books, and that one I picked up, man, and it was like, wow, man, of course. Like we just have to look at things in a different lens. That's all. We live in a 3-dimension, but what about 2-dimensional or 1-dimensional?
Right.
Or what about 4 or 5? We just don't put these things into our lens, because we just think that, oh, maybe that's just, googly gop talk,
Hmm.
but we I feel that we should be paying attention.
Yeah. I call it spooky stuff. I think you might call it woo and woo woo,
Yeah,
right?
woo woo,
Woo
right,
woo
right.
spooky stuff, right? That's if you hear me say that, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I'm talking about. Like
Right.
outside of the realm of possibility, some old
Mhm, mhm,
mystical, like non-tangible stuff. Like, no,
mhm,
like
mhm, mhm,
these
mhm.
things play a major
Right.
role in our reality and what shapes our reality. And
For sure.
th-
Mhm.
one reason that I like to go there from the scientific perspective is because then it brings credence back to the ancient arts, the Tai Chi, the yoga, the Qigong, all these different systems. It's not like these weren't belief systems. And this is something that Brother Omar and I, we constantly talk about, right? We're not
Mhm,
dealing with belief systems, we're dealing with scientific systems.
mhm,
And so
mhm,
that's something that we're going to continue to bring to the audience to show
mhm,
that these
mhm.
things do have a practical role in your life.
Exactly, exactly. You did say it so eloquently too. You said that we're not in the realm of belief systems. We're working with facts, or
Right.
the facts that we've uncovered. You
Hmm.
know. So
Right.
I say, which brings us to the next point too about how these things affect us. When all of this information that is coming in, what's happening to us? We don't even realize it, right? Like the water, but maybe
Right.
we should look around and say, wait a minute, I don't feel good. I don't feel emotionally well,
Right.
and I'm feeling like my sense of belonging in this world. I feel like alienated,
Mm, right.
which is another common one. But yeah, why don't you touch on that a little bit, brother?
Right. Well, so
Mm,
you're talking about, for one thing, the disconnection that people may feel, and it's all of these things. So they say no man is an island, right? Nothing
right.
that happens to us happens in isolation. And so
Mm,
I want people to think about it like this. It's not just one thing that leads to it generally. It's a whole set of things that finally has the individual saying, wait, something ain't right.
mhm,
And
mhm,
so it's like, what is that something? Well,
mhm,
let's start
mhm,
from the beginning. So here's a good one, right? What's the first thing that people do when they wake up? I was just listening to a
mhm.
lady yesterday. She was saying the first thing she does is turn on the coffee machine because she can't operate, she can't function without her coffee.
Mm.
And there was a nutritionist giving a talk, and the nutritionist said something so true. And listen to this, folks, right? When you're asleep, you're spending 6 to 8 to however many hours of sleep dehydrating. If you go and get a cup of coffee, then you're further dehydrating yourself before you even put water into your body.
Mm, mhm, mhm.
Okay. Right. So that uneasiness you're feeling might be your body screaming to be hydrated. As simple as that.
Mm,
Then
mhm.
that's not even compounding the other things. You might just need some water. You might just need a lot of water, right?
Right,
You might need to consume some fruit and get that quality of water into your
right,
system.
right. Or juicing, or something,
Juicing.
something light. Not like coffee. Coffee's harsh, man.
It is.
I
And
I,
it get Go
I
ahead.
could dig it. I used to do it for years too. I used to dig it,
Me too.
too. I
Me
used to
too.
go for it, man. Oh yeah, they had me. They had me. You see, that's the program, right? Because
Mhm.
and you're a history buff, and that's what I love about you too. I love many things about you, actually.
Likewise, likewise. You same with you, brother.
Exactly. Right. So coffee at one time was banded. You could not drink coffee. No, they didn't want, especially in Europe. They was like, no, 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 we don't know. No, we don't want
Really?
coffee. Yes.
Huh,
But
I never heard
then,
that. Okay.
yeah, one of the popes came along and he blessed it and he said, yes, it's good. It's from God. It's all right. And they were like, oh, okay. Yep. And then there you go. You have a coffee culture. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's crazy. My man told me that the other
Wow.
day. He was like, "Oh, he was in Australia. He's like, I love the, the coffee culture here in Australia. And I was like,
Wow.
coffee culture?
Coffee culture.
You just go get a cup of coffee, bro. Like, yeah,
Right.
but
But
that's how they got us, bro. Yeah.
it is, and if you think about it, it really is coffee culture in this country because people, I
Mhm.
mean, I love, and like you said, I love history. So I love being able to look back on our society. Yes, we're living in it, but I still kind of look back on it or try to look at it from the outside. Like, let's say everything was just wiped out, right? And then, or better yet,
Mhm.
1,000 years from now, people come and try to interpret what we were doing. Oh, yes, they worship coffee and they would drink it
Mhm.
ritualistically every
Mhm. Mhm.
day, and they would sit in
Mhm.
front of these black boxes and they would pray to the boxes.
Mhm.
Everybody had a
Mhm.
black box in their home, which means they were praying to it. Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like, I bet you
Right?
there's stuff that we think is religious, which might have
Yeah.
been not religious, which might have been just straight scientific that
Mhm.
the ancients
Right?
were using. I think
Oh,
it's
for
like
sure.
that, you know?
For sure. For sure. For sure. For sure. Well, getting back a little bit, right?
Mhm.
I wanted to talk about some of the effects that we may or may not be feeling. Remember I mentioned about that sense of belonging, right? We
Mhm.
kind of we feel like an alien within a world. I mean,
Right.
that's happened to me. It's very common. But there's also other things that we feel. We feel loss of energy, right? We feel insecure,
Right.
right? Right? We feel restless also, but in addition to that, we also feel anxiety, low self-esteem, depression comes on, and then other darker thoughts come through too,
Right.
man. I mean, how
Right.
many times you've come across somebody and then they give you some of those dark thoughts and you be like, ooh,
Right.
ooh,
Like,
like you look all right, but you're not all right, bro.
where are
Like,
you at?
yeah, you
Mhm.
might want to get some help for that or something.
Yeah.
I mean,
Seriously.
but how could you not? Like, how could right? It's
Mhm.
almost like how could you not? It's almost how could you not, bro?
And right, and that's the thing. And even as we say that again, it's not to be judgmental to people. It's just that, you know, you what do they say? When you're where something like this, when you're religious, you believe in hell. When you're spiritual, you've been to hell. You know what I
Oh
mean?
wow.
Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? It's like
Yeah.
you go to
Excuse me,
hell and
sorry.
come back. You know what I mean? And you get to
Right?
analyze yourself. And so even as you're saying that, it's like you're also able to see yourself in it. Like, I know you're in a dark place because maybe I was in a
Mhm.
dark place at one time when I can identify, I
Right,
can see that shit, and you ain't in a good place right now. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
how do
right.
you get yourself out? How does this individual get themselves out of this place
Mhm,
now that
mhm.
they're in there?
Right.
And so it's like you're saying, man, the isolation, like there's so many
Mm,
different emotions that
mhm.
play into this. And
Yes.
if one thing, a big thing, if people aren't addressing these emotions in the first place,
Mhm.
you know, like they're taking different, there's so many drugs that be. I mean, I hear people like, listen, I don't take any drugs or pills or anything like that. But it's like I'm not judging people for it, but it's like I see Xanax. Oh man, I need a Xanax. I got a Xanax.
Mm,
I'll get, you know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Like, isn't that a
yeah,
prescription? Wait, do you have that prescription? But they
yeah,
just eating them like candy. Like, what's
yeah.
Xanax exactly? What's that doing to people? You know
It's
what I
yeah,
mean?
man, we don't wanna know. We don't wanna know what it's doing to people really, because it is way out. Like, we already know that the opioid, it's a epidemic
Right,
that hasn't gone away, right?
it,
They coined that phrase, I think, like a year or 2 ago or something like that, but it was
right,
going on way before that. I
yep,
mean, trying to keep it positive, but
hmm,
the suicide rate among teenagers, early teenagers, bro, are at an alarming rate, bro.
yeah,
And then people too, and then especially men too. Men,
yep,
oh, listen, man, they find the nearest
hmm,
bridge and just jump off of it. I'm,
right.
I'm
And
serious.
now they're saying young black men, like teenagers, are now one of the highest groups that,
That's right.
or the highest, you know what I mean? Like the group is
Yeah.
rising, the amounts of
Yeah,
suicides
rising.
that are happening.
I know because the really high numbers were the indigenous people to this land,
Right,
but it looks like
right,
people of color we're beating them out now, bro.
right,
Really,
right.
I'm telling you, bro. Do your homework.
Hmm,
You'll see. You'll
right.
see.
And it'd be like, we
Um,
don't kill ourselves. Well, it's like apparently our children are, you know what I mean? So that's a
right, right.
conversation. Like, and even just the stigma around all of that, mental health within our communities. I think,
Right, right,
that's maybe another conversation, but it it
mhm,
it, it
mhm,
comes back to grounding, and
right,
part of being grounded is community, you know?
mhm, mhm,
Community keeps you grounded. Besides being grounded as an individual, community keeps us grounded
yeah,
too.
right. We should definitely look around, man. See who you hang out with. Who do you spend time with? And maybe you go like, "Well, I don't have many friends. I got like 3." You should look at those 3 very closely,
Mhm.
or if you have 1 or 2, look closely at them,
Right.
see if are they a positive. Are they positive in general? What are they
Right.
doing with themselves? Oh, they're
Right.
just like you, just going to work and paying bills and, oh, this is the life, and doing their best to, cope, using things like alcohol, which is a drug
Right.
also, right? You see? Because those opioids, that's just really like alcohol or
Yeah.
heroin in a pill. That's really what
Yeah.
it is. It's a downer. It's not up, you know.
Right. It is. It's heroin in a pill, and
Mhm.
you know, and we need to be able to have these conversations without someone being politically offended. It's like that's what it is.
Yeah,
It's come from the same plant, it does
right,
the same thing. Just
right.
one comes from the company, one comes from someone on this corner.
Right. Right. So you would think like, well, people would be there saying, "Well, I need it. I just can't, and my doctor gave it to me, and what I would say is, try something else, you know, or cut that serving in half. Try it, or try to go a day,
Mhm.
because I was talking to a brother the other day, and he fired off 1 or 2 medications that he's taking, which is these antidepressants. And he was
Mhm.
telling me he's been taking them for a long time, bro, like a decade or more. And
Right.
I was like,
Wow.
wow, brother, you might want to back up off that. Or, but then after talking
Mhm.
with me, he said, hey, I cut it in half and I don't feel I haven't lost anything or nothing. And I'm like, you see? Good, brother.
Good.
I said, chances are you don't even need it anymore. You
Right.
see? But again, like you said, not judging or, pushing people in different directions because we don't know people's pain and what they've been
Right.
through. So not to judge. We
Listen.
don't we don't know the shoes, they
No,
walk
I
in.
know people who smoke weed excessively because that's how they cope with their pain.
Right. Which is a
You
down. It's a
it's a
down.
down,
It's a
right.
down.
Is it really helping? Like maybe, but or just like suppressing the emotion, suppressing the thought processes. Like it's
Mhm.
whatever it's doing, it's a coping mechanism, just like what you're talking about. And so many of us have coping mechanisms right now.
Right.
And because of that, we're not getting to the foundation. Like, why do I feel this way? Again, I
Mhm.
was speaking with someone the other day, and it was like, yo, I'm stressed out and I don't know why. Like, what do you mean you don't know why you're stressed out?
Mhm.
That's a crazy statement to me. That means you're not doing any introspection. But then when she stopped herself, she said, "Oh, I know why." And then she was, "Oh yeah, work and this and that." It's like, "Oh,
Right.
so you
Yeah.
do know why."
Right.
So to even
Right.
say you don't know why, that's a disconnect
Yep.
in the personality or the psyche that needs to be
Mhm.
addressed. It's like it's cool to just step back sometimes and just breathe and just, you know,
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
reflect on
Right. Right.
self. Like, oh man, my
Right.
fucking job is pissing me off, and the boss yelled at me, and I want to yell back, but I need this job, and like it's a
Yeah. Catch 22. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
people are dealing with some
It's true.
stuff out here, and
Yeah. Mhm. Mhm.
so, again, going back to even why we're doing what we're doing, because we realize, like the conversations you and I have, brother, it's like, I feel they need to be, this needs to be part of like regular discourse, like people need to be having these conversations. Just the things that we're talking about, the average person should be talking about. We're fortunate enough because we're in the world that we're in, that we
Mhm.
get to this is our life right here. So this
Right.
is, from the first time we met each other,
Mhm.
we were able to talk, on this level because of the work that
Right.
we've been
Mhm.
doing on ourselves. But it's like everybody
For
should be
sure.
on that level. We're not special. You
Yeah.
know, like we're
Right.
special to our
Right.
mamas. You know what I'm saying? Like we're special to
Right.
our
Yeah.
family, but
Yeah.
we're
Yeah.
special.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But we
Maybe.
ain't
Right.
special. You know what I'm saying? We special, but we ain't
Right.
special.
Right.
And
Right. I, I
right.
I totally agree. I totally agree that
Mhm.
um, we're quite unique. We're quite unique. So when you think of like other species on the planet,
Mm,
other animals, right? Because we're just animals, like we've
right.
mentioned before, right? We're just
Right.
animals, just with clothes and jewelry. That's it. But we're animals too, right?
Mhm.
But other animals, you know, they are in they're concerned about what they're gonna eat, concerned about not getting eaten,
Right.
you know, some shelter, right?
Mhm.
And procreation, right? to
Mhm.
to to advance the species. That's
Right.
basically. And whether they have like one kid or 12 in one shot, like we already
Mhm.
know that that's basically how they work. Unlike humans, right? We're different. That's what makes us unique, bro. Like whoever
Mhm.
created us created an incredible being. Why? Because we could do whatever we want, bro. Right? We
Mhm.
we 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 have the ability to contemplate life, you know, and our surroundings, and do things about them. We could
Mm.
fly like a bird, or we could swim like a fish. We could have one kid, or we could have 15 kids,
Right.
like back in the days,
Right. Right.
stuff like
Right.
that. So we're quite unique in that way, and we need to realize that we are special in that
Mhm.
way. And I really want to touch on some of these things that we're talking about, how we're feeling emotionally, like the insecurities, the not belonging, the depression and
Mm.
stuff like that. A lot
Mm.
of it, brother Cameron, it's not even ours, bro. It's passed down from generation, and it seems to
Mm.
have come through with our DNA, right?
Oof.
I'm
Woo!
telling you. So here we are,
Mm.
right? We're feeling these things, and some of these traumas, or this darkness that's on us, comes through our DNA, bro. Right?
Mm.
So we might not feel exactly what our parents, grandparents, or our ancestors felt, not exactly what they went through, but we inherit a lot of these emotions, brother, and these feelings.
Right.
So what do you think about that?
Ooh, I got something for you. I got something for you. Let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, so I just did a quick search. Quick search, right? It said PTSD and DNA study because they've done some PTSD DNA studies now, right? This one says this is just a search engine. I used my search engine and the AI pulled this up. Several studies have explored the relationship between DNA, methylation, and post traumatic stress disorder. One study found significant differences in the number of uniquely methylated genes related to the immune system between PTSD affected and unaffected individuals. Let me see. Is this the one I'm looking for? Basically, it's exactly what you're talking about.
Mm. I, I,
I'm just going skipping
I think,
paragraphs.
yeah.
Hmm.
Look through that for a minute, and while I just interject right here,
Go ahead.
there are some things that Omziel Healing Sanctuaries offers, and one of them is some breath work with an ice plunge. Now, this is not an easy thing, but when you need help, you get help in any shape or form. It's just like your computer. If it's not working right, what do? You bring it to the IT guy, right? And you give him any amount of money. Man,
Mhm.
just fix my thing. Amazon is just not loading fast enough, or something's happening with the hard drive, right? So this ice plunge that we do, we're having one that's coming up. It's on March the 29th, on Saturday. It's here in North Bergen, New Jersey. So if anyone listening is interested, stick around to the end of the broadcast. We want to offer you something very nice for this ice plunge that we're having coming up. Something that's going to help you. So,
Thank
yeah,
you for that, brother.
of course, brother, of course.
Thank you for that. Folks,
Mm.
come check us out. So this is just further in that paragraph. It says, additionally, a review of the literature on transgenerational effects of trauma on DNA methylation in humans found accumulating evidence that trauma-induced epigenetic modifications can be passed from traumatized individuals to subsequent generations via DNA methylation alterations, which can change gene expression and metabolome. So the
Mm.
one of the experiments that they did it with mice, and they, let's say it was like a cherry or something like that, or cherry taste, and then the mouse went up to eat the cherry and got electrocuted, and
Mm.
so the mouse never went back to that. The mouse had babies, and then the babies instinctively knew to stay away from the cherry. They weren't taught by the parents. They instinctively knew first time, don't mess with that cherry. I don't know why, but I'm not messing with that cherry. And they
Mm.
showed that trauma and PTSD are especially passed down through the father's line, So
Mm.
this is something that, we could go pull that apart if we wanted to, but this is for
Mm.
something that people, you can look that up right now and you can see that study. And it's
Mm.
exactly what you're talking about, brother. That trauma, PTSD, these things are passed down genetically. So what other things are passed down genetically that we don't know about? How much of our stuff, like you said, belongs to somebody that came before us? Because they haven't, they weren't able to have a conversation like this or to go through the healing. We come from a different generation too.
Mm.
Our
Mhm.
parents' generation, I'll speak
Mm.
generally, but our parents' generation was that, just work and effort. Like, I don't have
Mhm.
time to think about what, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they weren't going to therapy. Therapy,
Right,
what? That's
right,
assistant
right.
type of, you
You
know
know
what
what
I'm
I'm
saying?
saying?
Like,
Yeah, yep, yep, yep,
they're not
yep.
doing that. I'm not about to sit in a
Nope.
sweat lodge for what?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Why? Why would I? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
That was some great points that you brought up there, brother. And the thing about mouse is that it's about 85%, of their protein coding genes
Mhm.
are just identical to humans. So
Wow.
that's why scientists always study the mouse, because
Wow.
we're very similar in that way. The mices, yep.
Wow.
But there it is. It's generational trauma, things that have
Mhm.
just been passed on. Oftentimes, you know, we would think like, oh, I use alcohol and I can't seem to stop, right? Sometimes it's just a bit too much for me, and I just don't
Mhm.
know why. But oftentimes it could be just that is generational stuff that comes in, also comes in through the DNA. It comes in through
Right.
the semen. You see, it
Right.
comes in on the cellular level, like that.
Right. Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so it's important for us again to have that level of discernment. And this is, the introspection. This is the sitting back with yourself and figuring out, okay, again, what's mine, what's somebody else's. It's
Right.
like we look at ourselves in the mirror and be like, oh yeah, I look like my mother, I look like my father, or I do this, I look like my mother, but I do this like my father. You know what I'm saying? And a
Mhm.
lot of times we can pick that apart. So after that, it's like, okay, like, and this is why I tell my clients every day to decompress. You know what I'm saying? Every day you have to take time to decompress, because when you decompress, like, that's when you get to know yourself a little bit better. I don't know if we said this in a past show, but I
Mm.
distinctly remember, right? There was a time I was around probably 17, 18 years old, 17, 18 years old, when I all of a sudden, in quotes, right,
Mm.
became aware of the thoughts that I was thinking. And what blew my mind about that was like, oh, shoot, there was a time when I was just going around and I wasn't even aware of the thoughts that I was thinking. That
Mm.
blew my mind. How many people
Mm.
are moving around out here not aware of the thoughts that they're thinking, and then not aware of how those thoughts lead to actions,
Mm.
unconscious actions that they take, and they don't even realize that it was this
Right,
whole chain
right,
of
right.
thinking that led to
Mhm,
that moment, but it's being able to sit down
mhm,
with yourself.
mhm,
And people be, oh, I can't meditate because I get distracted. Well, those distracting thoughts, like, sometimes you got to let them flow through, because they might be trying to tell you something too.
mhm,
That's
Hmm.
part of the process of learning how to meditate is you got to go through the distracting thoughts so you know what your mind, what's going on in your mind, because then you realize that, wait, like how this thought get in my head? That ain't my thought. That's not my, why am I singing
Right,
you know what I'm saying? What do you call it? A
right.
jingle, a
Right.
commercial
Yeah.
jingle.
Right. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, why is that in my, why is
Mhm.
that playing on repeat in my mind right now? Who
Right.
put that in there?
There's very, very strong evidence of that humans, first of all, we're made up of water, right?
Mhm,
And then the pineal gland, right?
mhm,
Some call it the third eye. That's that
mhm.
that that's really embedded deep into our skull in the back right there,
Right.
where the ancient ones from Kemet, when you see like the eye, right? The eye of Horus, they already
Mhm,
know that it's
mhm.
like the brain sliced in half, and the hippocampus and all that. So it's showing you right there. Why?
Right.
Because they knew that right there in that third eye, right, or that pineal gland, that's where we pick up signals. It's
Mm.
it's like we're like one big antenna walking around. In fact, I had read in some studies they said that in the past that pineal gland was the size of a golf ball, but like any muscle, we don't use
Wow.
it. We don't use it as humans, so it has shrunk to that
Wow.
size. Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
that's wild because the pineal gland, it's it has the characteristics of an eye. You know what I'm saying? Like it
Right.
has lenses, it has photoreceptors, which means it
Mm-hmm.
responds to light,
Mm-hmm.
similar
Right.
to how our eyes respond to light. And
Right.
imagine if it's the size of a golf ball now, because this thing
Right.
is like the size of a thumb or a pinky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in
Yeah.
a lot of people, it's also
Uh,
calcified, and that's a whole
right.
other thing
That's
because that
another
means
thing.
you
Get away
really
from
ain't
that
using it.
fluoride. Yeah, get
Get
away
away
from that
from the floor.
fluoride.
Really ain't using it, you know?
Yeah. Right.
And
Mm-hmm.
and thank you for even saying that because this goes again to like, kind of knowing ourselves because you start to know yourself, then you know your environment, and then you realize the things that are kind of detrimental to the health. Like there's fluoride in the drinking water. Now, listen, again, I'm not trying to be controversial, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not for the teeth. And one thing,
Right.
you know who
Right.
else used fluoride in the drinking water? They used that at the
Go
concentration
ahead,
camps. The
brothers.
Nazis did.
School them. School them,
They,
brother.
they
School them.
used it at the Nazi concentration camp. So are we being controversial by mentioning this to you? But this is really like this is what happened in history. And they
Real
used
talk.
it in the concentration camps because it's a neurotoxin and it made the what do you call it? The inmates docile. So they didn't because
Right.
they listen,
Right. They didn't rise up.
people they didn't
Right.
rise up. That's
Mhm.
I'm sure that is a large reason why we didn't hear about a lot of rebellions in the concentration camps in Germany. And mind you, had all
Right.
kind of people. You had soldiers in there, all kind of people. You think
Yeah.
they wouldn't
Okay.
have plotted a
Yep.
mutiny, but
Right.
maybe the
Right.
fluoride helped out with that a little bit. I'm
Right.
just
Right.
saying it wasn't
Right.
there for no reason,
Right.
you
Right.
know.
Right. I'm with you. I'm definitely with you on that, brother. That's why we should be self-aware. It took me a long time to find out who I am, and
Mm,
what am I? What am I? What
mm,
am I? Right? Because I could tell you, Cameron, years ago, I looked into the mirror and I said, I don't even know who you are, man. And I tell you, Cameron, I wouldn't wish that upon nobody, bro. Not
wow,
even my worst enemy. I'm telling you, it
wow.
was a sad, sad, dark place to be. And I know that people experience this because
Mhm,
humans have that ability to contemplate ourselves and our own existence here. But when I looked in that mirror, man, I was like, man, I don't even know who you are, man. I said, oh man, I'm just in a bad spot. And then I began trying to do things that would get me out of that hole. But I was experiencing lots of things too, with some of this disconnection that we're speaking about,
mhm,
and I feel that, all humans experience things when they're not grounded, right? Because we're
mhm.
actually doing our best to get to that point, right? So
Right,
when we're not grounded, all kinds of things go wrong. You have colon issues, you know,
right.
lower back pain problems, bladder inflammation, inflammation. right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Right,
Prostate issues too, you
right,
know, including eating disorders too, right? Because that
right.
that that really goes with the lower part of our bodies, right? This is what we're getting
Mhm.
at. It's the lower
Right,
part, you
right. The
see,
lower.
right? Because
Mhm.
the upper parts are different. This is about speaking, our heart, love, and our brain, and the higher powers. But these lower parts here, we
Mhm.
experience issues in these areas, and it could be quite, disturbing. And you feel like,
Right,
where do these things come from? Where, you should take a
right.
minute to think about these things.
Right. And man, thank you so much for even sharing that about yourself because, and that's, it's kind of like what I said earlier. It's like you've
Mhm.
been to hell. That's how you could look at someone and be like, hey, you're not in a
Mhm.
good place because
Right.
you know what it's like not to be in a good place, brother. And it's like, I can definitely relate. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And that's important, I think, for people to kind of see as they get to know us better, like we're just human beings, but
Mhm.
and I should say we're also every day, it's like an everyday process of doing the work, and
Right.
finding out who you
Right.
are. I learn something
Right.
about myself every day,
Mhm.
and that's
Well,
what's supposed to happen until we, finally, people transcend to the next realm.
right.
That's what we're supposed to do is
Yeah.
learn about ourselves, and we learn about ourselves and through the people we interact with, and just through your environment.
Mhm.
And it and that's why I
Mhm.
say that I want to kind of take the mystery out of the mystical, like bring it back to science because we realize that the systems that were created in the past, like I'm not trying to be nostalgic, I just realized like, oh, okay, you have people in so many different cultures who analyze the human body, the human mind, the human spirit,
Mhm.
and they found ways to cleanse it, enhance
Mhm.
it,
Mhm.
deal with it. Okay, for instance, this is something I heard from the late great Baba Credo Mutwa, the Zulu Sanusi. Baba Credo said that. Now we heard about Zulu, Shaka Zulu, and all of them. You know what I mean? Like Shaka Zulu was around at the time of Baba Credo's grandfather. So this,
Mhm.
this wasn't like a long time ago. This is in the 1800s, right? But Baba Credo explained that when the Zulus, now one thing, the Zulus, they could run 50 miles to battle, go fight a battle, then run 50 miles back home, right? This is like in real life on some
Right.
superhuman
Real
stuff,
life.
right?
Yeah, this ain't movie stuff. No, this was
This ain't movies.
facts. Facts.
Y'all
Mhm.
running what 26-mile marathons? That's like
Mhm.
2 marathons, go fight a battle, then do two
Yeah.
marathons
Yeah.
back home. All right. So this is like the
Mhm.
level of, but one thing with them, right? When they came back home, they had to go through some kind of cleansing ritual before they could even go back
Mm.
and see their wives and their families. Well, one thing, you couldn't even have a wife if you weren't at a certain level. None of the younger men, they had wives. Maybe the
Right.
veterans might have had them, but all that to
Mhm.
say, you couldn't go back and be with your family and be with your community until you went through a cleansing ritual. He said it was a painful ritual. I don't know. He didn't describe what they do, but
Mhm.
the difference in mentality, right? Where
Mhm.
we have all these soldiers, all these warriors coming back home, and then the government. My man tells me he was in the Marine Corps, right, brother John? He's you'll meet brother John. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
Okay.
he says when you're in, I can't remember the term he used, but basically you're in an asset, and when you leave, you're a pest. You know what I mean? That's how the military and the
Mhm.
VA looks at our veterans. Yeah, I'm calling them
Right.
out because they treat these men
Mhm.
and women like crap. And that's
Mhm.
what's really going on in this country right
Yep.
now. That's why we
Right.
have 22 veteran suicides a day because
Mm.
these people are going off and fighting in all these foreign conflicts, seeing all kind of crazy stuff,
Yeah.
crazy
Crazy is
things that
crazy.
the
Yeah.
average person would not want to hear about, and then just being released back into the public. It's like, whoa, hold on.
Yep.
What about the healing process for these
Mm.
men and women that are coming back home? You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I'm talking about the
Mhm.
Zulu, because they would go through a place to reintegrate people into society. They would go through something
Mhm.
to deal with what we now call PTSD. They didn't call it PTSD back then. They might have said, "Oh, you got the spirits of the dead on you." They
Right.
called
Right.
it whatever they
Right.
called it.
Right.
But now we say, oh, they have PTSD. They used to call it shell shock, right?
Right.
Right?
Shell
Back in the
shock.
day, they
Yeah.
used to say, oh, they
Right.
got shell shock.
Mhm.
Oh, grandpa
That's
got
shell
shell
shock.
shock from World War II.
Right.
What's
Right.
what's
Right.
shell shock? It's what we
Right.
call PTSD today, you know?
That's right. That's
So
right.
again, making that mystic scientific, you know what I mean? Like there's a
Yeah.
reason that these things were done in ancient times.
Right.
And it's important for people to go back to these systems and see what was really being said. Don't go there and be like, oh, you know, they're talking about gods and aliens and all this. It ain't about that. It's
Mm,
about principles of nature
mm,
in order to align your body and align your conduct.
Yeah, this is definitely something that we're missing in society today. It's very like aesthetic almost, like by the books, and people just fall in line, just right there. And that's something where we should look at and say, hey, wait a minute, there's other things I can do too in order to get out of this and not feel
Right.
this way. And because there is, because that's the facts. There is plenty of things, and maybe we could touch a little bit. Let's touch on that.
I
I
got
like
you.
to say something. I like to say something about that. So
I got something after you.
excellent. For me, when I become grounded, what helps me, and I've learned along the way, when I take a shower, I have salt, sea salt in
Mm,
the shower right there. So what I do is I wet my body, and then I start, putting salt, sea salt on my body and scrubbing
mm,
my body, especially my legs and my feet, right? Because the feet, God bless the feet, man. I'm telling you, we
mm.
should just light an incense to the feet or something like
Right.
that, because the feet bring us and take us, bro, every day. We just don't give enough credit. That's why in some cultures, right, they have the caste system,
Right. Right.
and they say the untouchables. Where are they from? They say they're from the feet. But that doesn't
Mm.
make any sense. You need the feet to get everything around.
One of the
So
most
they need to
important.
end that. They need to end that like yesterday,
Mhm.
right? For real. But that's what I do. I get the sea salt and I start scrubbing my body, man. This is a great, great suggestion. I would love people
Mhm.
just to try it. Just try it, man. If it don't work, hit me up. Let me know. But man, that didn't do
Right.
nothing for me. And if
If
it
it
did,
don't work, right?
if it don't work, right? Tell me. Let me know. But if it works, let me know too. Let us
Right.
know. My
Right.
email is omzielhealing@gmail.com.
Right.
And
Right.
yours, brother?
Mine is Cameron at ARMEW.com. ARMEW.
Let us know. Say, hey, no, that didn't work. Another one is I get a lemon and I
Mm.
rub it on my head. I rub it on my head. The lemon, just rub it on the head, rub it on the head, rub it on, and then rub it on your body too, in
Mhm.
different parts, but on the head, right here, around the temple, right? Because this is your
Mm.
temple, right there, the lemon. And after you rub it maybe for a good minute or so, and then cut it with a knife, open it, and throw it out and wash your hands. This is
Mm.
another, man. I put my money on that one. And I know people going to try it and they'll be like, yo, I feel better. I'm
That's
trust.
old school,
Check it
right?
out.
What you did, that's
That's
old
old
school,
school.
right?
That's old
Yeah.
school, man. These are things that the ancients were doing. Not to
Mhm.
mention like walking barefoot on the grass. I mean, come on. This sounds like woo woo, man. Do it.
Now
Do
they
it.
call it
Try it.
earthing. They
You're
earthing.
earthing.
And
Earthing.
it's a big trend. Just look up
It's just
earthing, ladies and gentlemen. Now all of a sudden there's studies being done about it. They talk about the negative ions and all this
right.
stuff.
Yeah.
Listen,
Right.
what you know what I'm saying? Like what
With the
they're talking about,
mhm.
what
I'm
they're
sorry. Go ahead.
describing now,
Mhm,
what they're
mhm,
describing now,
mhm.
they're putting scientific, so-called scientific names on
Right.
what the ancients have been telling us, and this is why
Mhm.
it's so important to have these conversations because in ancient times they described the world in terms of spirit. You know, there was a lot of talk about spirit, but spirit is just the subatomic world. It's the
Right.
quantum world. Yeah,
That's
I
it.
said it before. You
It's
see Ant-Man
energy.
and Doctor
Energy.
Strange and all of that. They going into the quantum realm. What do you think the quantum realm is? The quantum realm is
Right.
the spirit realm, ladies and
That's it.
gentlemen.
That's
And
it.
that's what science, so-called science, is dealing with now. Let me because here's this is issue. What's this? This is issues in mental health in nursing, right? Taylor and Francis online. So this is one of those peer reviewed studies. The headline is mental health, wellness, and biofield therapies in integrative review. Now, this is the thing. And folks, you go to PubMed. You know that PubMed. That's where you see the peer-reviewed scientific studies published from the NIH, National Institute of Health. I think we all know about the NIH now, right? So this
Mhm.
is where these papers are peer-reviewed and then published, right? So mental health, wellness, and biofield therapies in integrated review. What we need to know now is that biofield means chi, biofield means prana, biofield means bioelectric energy in the human body. Okay. So
Mhm.
these things are no longer in the realm, in the woo woo spooky realm. Okay.
Right,
They are
right.
no longer, they haven't been there for a long time. So
Mhm.
anybody who's operating from that paradigm has not yet caught up with what science is telling us. Okay. The
Right.
science. I think that's what they called it in 2020, right? The science. This is the
Mhm.
science. This
Mhm.
is what the science is telling us. I just want to read this abstract from this paper.
Mhm. Mhm. Go ahead.
This is written by Lucrezia Mangione. Lucrezia Mangione. I believe she's the author. The abstract. Biofield therapies such as healing touch and Reiki increase relaxation, decrease anxiety and stress, and improve mood. Understanding the efficacy of these therapies in terms of mental health wellness is important for nurses interested in complementary and integrative care. The goal of the present integrative review was to investigate the state of knowledge regarding biofield therapies and the impact on anxiety, mood, and mental health wellness.
Mm.
Electronic databases were searched for articles available in English and published from 2014 to 2016. So we're already talking 11 years old now.
Mm.
Biofield therapy shows safety and promise in reducing anxiety, improving mood, and cultivating mental health and wellness.
Mm.
Period. That's the
Mm.
abstract. I don't have this article because it's $68 to access it.
Okay. Okay. All right. All right. Yeah. Listen, don't make me go to the torrent sites and go get it.
You know what I'm saying?
But that's great. That's knowledge right there. That's
You know?
knowledge. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. This is exactly what we're talking about. You
Right.
you talked about many people even before, giving some of this studies that they've given their lives in order to learn about. Dr. Gabor Mate is another one. If you know who he
Mm,
is,
I
he's
don't.
coming. He's coming from Canada.
Wow.
He's a big name, Dr. Gabor Mate. Yeah,
Yeah.
this I'm just saying his knowledge, right? Because there's some
Mhm,
controversial in anybody, in everybody, in
mhm.
everybody. So,
Right.
but that's why I always say take the message. Don't take the
Right.
message. Don't take the messenger. No, he's just reading these things and talking about how people are disconnected.
Mm,
And we need to come back to some of these things. And then you mentioned, well, first of all, I mentioned some of these things that help me, right? About to be
right.
grounded with the salt, right? And
Right.
walking barefooted and the lemon, and these are good tips. But when you go deeper, right? There's Reiki, you
Mhm.
see, there's energy field, which by scientists explanation, there is solid evidence that these things work, brother. And I think
Yeah.
it was Reiki was rediscovered, right? In Was
Yes.
it in China or
In
Japan?
Japan. In
It was in
Japan.
Japan, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, people don't know. They go, oh, Reiki, yeah, that's from India. No, 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 no. It might have originated because India is so ancient, we don't even know
Right.
how old India.
It's old. It's
if you
old.
want to if you want to learn about the planet and what has been going on, like in ancient thousands of years, yeah, study India. That's one of them. You study India.
Yeah. Because
You'll see.
they've been really good at kind of codifying and compiling the ancient accounts.
Mhm.
India.
Yep,
You know,
for
they go
sure.
back hundreds of thousands, millions of years, and they tell the
Yep,
stories, and it's like
yep.
we can
Mhm,
believe them or not, but they're like, "This
mhm.
is what happened. This is
Yeah,
how we got to
exactly.
this point."
Yeah,
Like,
that's why. That's
mhm,
why I don't. I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's why I don't like to call those things myths. Nah, don't call it myth. Nah, it's not
right,
myth. No, it's not a
right,
myth because those people live and die believing those things, just like we do too.
right,
So it's a
right.
story that, yeah.
Is right, and it comes from somewhere. Again, like how would 1,000 years from now, how are people going to describe? They're going to listen to our descriptions of things and think that we're talking some mystical stuff. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Like,
for
but it's
sure. Yeah.
because that's what happens. But
Yeah.
it's like this: these people. Listen, this is my thought, right?
Mhm.
People especially in ancient times didn't really have time to sit back and make up myths and tales unless they were at a certain point of civilization. But like you
Right.
said earlier, like we're
Right.
talking about, eating, sleeping, survival, the
Right.
basic things that you need to build civilization. Do you now have time to make up a whole mythology about gods and this and
Right.
that? It's like, to
Right.
me,
Right.
that
Mhm.
doesn't make too much sense because
Right.
we've got like practice. I got to feed the kids tomorrow.
Mhm.
I gotta
Mhm.
work together with my community to make
Mhm.
sure that we have what we need because this might be a harsh winter coming up. We're
Right.
looking at the stars and the elders are telling us, hey, there's gonna be a harsh winter. So we gotta,
Right.
you know what I mean?
Exactly. Exactly. They ain't got sit around binge watching Netflix and
They'd be like, look, my
right.
grandson is 5 years old. When he's 50
Right.
years old, he's going to have to deal with these
Right.
ecological circumstances. So
Yeah. Yeah.
let me prepare my child, my daughter, let me prepare my grandchildren for what they're going to deal when they reach
Mm.
50 years old.
Exactly. Exactly. You know, brother, um the practice that you have and some of the services that you provide too, right?
Mhm.
Why don't you tell me a little bit about that? Tell me, how is it that you're helping people get more grounded in some of the services that you're providing?
Ooh, thank you, brother. Thank you for that. It's really for me. It's about bringing people into their bodies, and that's a big inspiration for for having these conversations, for us starting this show. For me, right? Because I see people. I say this all the time. I believe that salary is the new slavery. Salary is the new slavery because you have people working all kind of hours. They're gonna work till 7 p.m., eat some food, and then start again at 8, 9 o'clock and work until 11, 12, then wake up and do it all over again.
Mhm.
And they're not in their bodies. I have a lot of clients who come to me for 2 hour sessions. Again, I'm a massage therapist, I'm a Reiki master, I teach Qigong, Tai Chi. I really call myself an energy conductor or a holistic holistic guidance counselor. You know what I'm saying? Like this
Mm. Okay.
holistic consultant, really,
Mhm.
because for the clients that are really committed, it's not just about coming and getting massage or coming and getting some energy work, but it's about creating the patterns that are going to improve your quality of life. It's
Mm.
about creating the practices outside of the table, like, okay, bet we do a 2 hour massage. I'm spending the first hour just relaxing the body, just stimulating the parasympathetic nervous system. That's rest, repair, relaxation. That's the first thing. Once we get that, then we can go into the massage because before that, the body is too tight, too tight to even receive the work. So for me, it's important to bring the person into their body. And once the person is into the body, then we can navigate the body. Okay, you feel tension in your shoulder. There's people like I lift up the arm and then I move and their arm is still up like this. Why is your arm still up? Because you're not
Mm.
relaxed. Drop your arm. And so I bring that to people's attention to make them aware of how they're holding tension in their body. I always say it's not about where you hold your tension, it's about how you hold your tension. And if you pinpoint how you hold your tension, then you can get to where you're holding your tension, where you're really holding your tension. Because you may feel it in your shoulder, but it might be in your low back on the opposite side where you're actually
Mm.
holding that tension. So,
Mhm.
in a nutshell, what I'm doing is bringing people back into their bodies and then giving them the tools so that they can now go and journey through their body to figure out what they need. And the ones who really do it, I mean, brother, oh my gosh, it's
Mm.
so beautiful to see someone awaken to the wisdom of their body.
Mm. Mm, mm,
Yeah.
mm, That's beautiful. That's beautiful, man. You know, it's really a deep work that you're doing and that what you're providing. It's quite powerful. I mean, I've seen it firsthand, and I've talked to people firsthand too, and they let me know, brother. Of course, thank you so
Thank you,
much,
brother.
man.
Thank you.
It's one of those things that people, they go, why would you want to pursue that, man? Come on, man. Nah, why don't you just go get a construction job? Stop playing.
It pursued me. I've tried to get away plenty of times. I tried to get away.
Yeah,
It just chased me like,
yeah.
come here. Where you think you're going?
Oh, that's what's up. I'm learning. I'm
Yeah,
learning about you more and more, brother. That's
yeah.
great. That's great. So now it's massage, or is it? It is Reiki also, correct?
Hmm. Yeah,
Right, because it has to do with that chi, right?
absolutely.
Because that's what massages are, right? It promotes that balance and the well-being on a physical, emotional, and spiritual level.
Yeah, it
Mm.
does. It does. And one of my colleagues, a shout out to Upsoul Center, because that's where my office is on 28th Street, 141 West 28th Street. And one of my colleagues over there, she said when she tells people about me, she says I'm a Reiki master who also does massage. And I thought that was
Mm.
dope. Like, this is how you introduced to me. That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Because so many people are gravitating towards the energy work right now. It's like our day has
Mhm.
come, brother. You know what I mean? When it comes to this, like,
Mm.
I've been doing it. I think I told you, right? Back when I first started this, I've been doing Reiki now for 21 years now. And when I used to put Reiki on my business card, people would be, oh, I don't know if you should put Reiki on your card, sir. People
Mhm.
might not take you seriously. And it's like, well, the hospitals take what I do seriously. Their nurses are being trained in Reiki. So just because y'all don't
Mm.
know about it, should I, dim my light? But it's like
Right, right.
now we're in an era where they're doing biofield human biofield studies on the government
Mm.
level. They've been studying this stuff. There's nothing new. They've
Right,
been studying
right,
this
right.
energy.
Yeah.
The
Oh,
human biofield is an organ, ladies and gentlemen. It's an
right,
organ. They call it like
right.
the endogenous biofield, the endogenous human biofield. This is how they identify it. And they say that this thing not only does it hold memory, but it holds the instructions, the instructions for the organization of the body. Okay.
Mm.
And that's why I'm going to say some controversial thing, brother. That's why human limbs can be regenerated.
Mm.
Look at the work of Robert O. Becker. You're going to have to pay
Mm.
for it, but look at the work of Robert O.
Yeah,
Becker. He
okay.
discovered that the human limbs can be regenerated, and it's because of the endogenous human
Mm.
biofield, which holds the information
Mm.
for the organization of our
Right,
tissues. We're giant crystals.
right, right. We're trying crystals. Go ahead, brother. That's what's up.
We're
That's
giant
what's up.
crystals. We're,
Yeah,
we're,
it's
we're,
crazy.
we're,
It is.
we're based
It,
on a holographic
yeah.
matrix.
Right. Yeah, which is crazy because you're stepping into the woo woo right there, but people
Woo!
are saying, "Well, hey, wait a minute, man, this guy," but yet the science is there, like, and that's what the clarity code is. That's
Mhm.
what we're saying here is like we're pulling it out of that woo woo system and saying, "Hey, there's scientific proof of some of these things. People are dedicating their lives to these things." Which
Mhm.
which in the end it really helps us to have self-realization and spiritual growth, and it also encourages the practices like mindfulness and compassion, and
Right.
that's what we need. That's what we need, brother.
And that's where it begins, and that's the thing. Thank you for that, brother, because it begins with the mindfulness, like knowledge of self. Who are
Mhm.
you? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
To the audience, who are you? And
Right.
every day we should be asking ourselves who we are,
Oh,
and then
I'm
it
glad.
goes into the deeper.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. Go ahead.
Then it goes into the deeper practices. This biogeometry.
Mhm.
Biogeometry is something that's mind-blowing stuff, because then you're getting into how symbols and the resonance from symbols is able to shape environments. Like, they used Dr. Ibrahim Kareem, PhD, Dr. SC, he got all these initials after his name, has
Mm.
devoted his life, just to speak to what you're saying,
Mhm.
he has devoted his life to the study of biogeometry.
Right,
And
right.
he's created a whole system for us
Mhm.
to use. They use this because they were in, I think it was in Sweden. I can't
Mm.
remember the city now. I think it was in Sweden where they were
Mm.
having issues with the towers. The towers were putting off so much electro smog or so much EMF radiation that
Mm.
it was driving the people crazy. They were getting sick, all kind of stuff. So they came in, did their biogeometry, put the
Mhm.
symbols in certain places in certain ways, and completely cleared it up.
Mm.
I think it's called the miracle of something. Yeah, this really
Ooh.
happened. So, and it's like, and that's what I was gonna say, just to piggyback on what you said. It's not like it's just a few people doing this research. There is an abundant amount of research at this point
Right,
showing that this is the reality in which we live.
right. And you're talking about the symbols, right? Those because
Mhm.
it's Reiki symbols, right? These
All of
symbols,
that.
right? And,
Mhm.
I had read somewhere that this world that we live in is just completely a world of symbols.
Wow.
That's
Yeah.
really what's happening in this world, bro. Everything is a symbol. I mean, think of just the basic things too. If you thought about like Nike or like Adidas
Right.
or the, come on, please, bro. M&M's, McDonald's. Come on, bro. It just goes on and on. They're just symbols. They're just symbols. But
Right.
but 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 thank you for that, explaining some of those things and the services that you're providing, because I think it's like super important that you speak on these things, because those massages, right, if that's what you really want to call it, bro, right?
Mhm.
Because in my eyes, really, you're helping to create that balance, or you're disrupting, the imbalance that's going on in the body, throughout the body, you know for an uninterrupted flow of creativity.
Right.
You see? This
Exactly.
is what, right? You see? Because go ahead, brother. Go.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks for even mentioning that. That's a huge part of it, right? Because one, I always say that my massage is just a vehicle for energy work. Like if people aren't familiar with energy work, well, we're gonna sit there and we're gonna breathe and we're gonna work you through this, and I'm gonna get you to the other side of the shore, a
Mhm,
conductor, right?
mhm,
But
mhm.
the 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 massage, when people receive this work, I noticed that a lot of people, it almost like it removes blockages in their creativity. People get downloads, they go into their creative zones, they're able to get back into their body, and I think that has to do with energy moving in the body, with
Mhm,
bioenergy, biofield energy moving through the body and getting unstuck. And once that gets unstuck, then we're able to receive and
mhm,
better
mhm,
translate
mhm,
in whatever your medium is. If you're a singer, dancer, painter, writer, poet, whatever it
mhm,
is.
mhm,
I've noticed over the years that this is so many different art. I've worked with so many different artists, and they
mhm,
always come back with great feedback after their sessions. And so
mhm,
I think it's important what you're saying. It's like being blocked up, our creativity isn't coming through. And if our creativity isn't coming through, then the gifts that we're supposed to be passing on to
mhm,
humanity are also not
mhm,
coming through.
mhm.
Everybody is a gift and has a gift that they're
Mhm.
supposed to be translating and giving
Right.
to some portion of humanity, if not the whole of humanity.
Right. Of course. I spoke earlier about humans that we're unique. We are
Right.
capable of tremendous acts of compassion and
Mhm.
creativity. Now, other species on the planet, we could, discuss that and maybe argue about, is that bird really creating art? Right? You ever seen some of these birds? They bring a couple of twigs and the leaf and all that, and
Mhm.
they try to bring a mate or something. That
Mhm.
that's an art piece right there. We just don't see it like that. We just go,
Right.
oh, that's just what they do, but we don't know, right? But
Mhm.
getting back to humans, we create all sorts of creations of art. We do we do twigs and leaves. We do architecture buildings. We do paint. We do clay. We
Mhm.
do, all kinds of art with metal. We do metal work. We create things that are functional too, that can be looked at as art, and humans are
Right.
unique like that. That's why my
Mm.
big thing always is that we're perfect. We are perfect. Humans are
Thank
perfect,
you.
bro.
Thank
We're
you.
perfect. We're quite unique in that way. It's just
Mhm.
that we have that ability to contemplate our existence and who we are. Now, just
Mm.
recently, you've come to you've come to the sanctuary, and
Right.
I showed you, right? I bring you into the inner parts of the sanctuary and I say,
Right,
look, this
right,
is where I live. And right over the door of my, entering on the inner sanction says, know thyself.
right.
Why? Because I learned a long time ago that places like in the Delphi, when you went to go look at see the oracle, and
Mhm.
it's also written in the temples of ancient Kemet, those temples that were learning schools, they were spiritual
Yes.
centers of all kinds of vibrations and stuff. You know, it, they already know that they've written. It said right on the top, "Know thyself."
Right, right.
Before
Exactly.
you start coming in here asking for anything, check yourself.
Mhm. Right. Thank you. Right. Bring it up to date. Check yourself.
Bring it up to date. Know yourself. You know yourself? Oh, because if you
Right.
don't, what are you coming in here for? You're asking for all kind of things, and oh, help me with it. And yeah,
Right.
know
But
yourself first. Go.
who are you to be helped? Who am I helping? Do you know who I am to help? You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's what they're
Right,
asking them.
right, right, right. Yeah,
Know
this is some
thyself.
of the things that's right. Know thyself. This is some of the things that we're getting clear on this crazy world, all of these symbols and messages that are coming through and all that, and these are some of the things that we do. Another suggestion too, we spoke about coffee also, and cacao is a wonderful
Mm,
substitute for that too.
mm, Tell us
you
about
know
that, please.
well, here at the Omziel
Mhm.
sanctuary, we offer cacao too. We have cacao ceremonies, right? Which cacao has a very rich history. In fact, the ancestors used to use the cacao beans as a monetary system too.
Mm.
Like
Wow.
for money, like a money system and stuff like that.
Mm.
But it's
Wow.
also part of their creation stories. Also, cacao, one of the stories coming out like of places from Guatemala, where cacao comes from. Also,
Hmm.
one of their creation stories is that the gods had scorched the earth, and over time they took mercy upon the earth and they planted plant the first seeds that went in, and the first one was the cacao plant,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Cacao tree. And cacao, if you know anything about it, it comes in these pods that look like football, right?
Right.
And their creation story is that when the first pod was open, the first woman came out, and that
Wow.
first woman gave birth to the human race.
Oh, wow. Now,
Yeah, so
correct me if I'm
mhm,
wrong, cacao is
mhm.
chocolate, right?
It's a pure form of chocolate. So you see,
Right.
milk and sugar is a modern day's man's invention,
Mhm.
right? This is how humans are. We
Right.
ruin things. We ruin them. They threw in milk because the fat, they know that it's just like coffee too, right? They put milk
Mhm.
in it. Why? Because they know that the system comes into your brain faculties faster with the fat,
Mm.
and there's salt also. And then
Mm.
sugar, well, you already know, humans
First
throw sugar
addiction.
into everything. It's the first, it
Ev
fires off the same neurons as cocaine.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. It doesn't caffeine as well?
Well, it has more theobromine. Theo means
Mm.
God. So it has
Mm.
more theobromine than caffeine. That's why
Mm.
when you drink it, it's not like coffee, because coffee is like pure caffeine where it brings you up really hard and fast and then it throws you down, boom.
Right,
And then
right.
now you're irritable, you can't sleep, got an
Mhm.
attitude, and all that, you see? But
Right.
cacao has this wonderful, unique ability to stimulate you and keep you relaxed both at the same time.
Mm.
Mhm.
That's
So
magical.
the cacao that we get is sourced properly. You,
Mm,
if you're going to get into cacao and buy it and use it on a daily, which that's what I do, you have to get it properly sourced. So they
mm,
found out that in Amazon, people were selling cacao with this indigenous pictures on it, and then they found that 9-year-olds were in some slave labored camp, yeah, taking advantage of them, and people were profiting off of this, bro. So
um,
let's be careful. Let's be careful. You want to get it, you know,
mm,
they call it sacramental grade. They put these fancy names on them and all that. That's
mhm.
just how humans are. We're talking about semantics now. But you do
Right,
want to get
right.
it sourced. You want to get it properly sourced. So where I get it from, this great brother Danny, great shout out to Danny, that he's out in Buffalo, New York. He
Mhm.
went to Guatemala and stood 2 weeks with the family, learned the process and all the ceremonies and everything. And now when he comes
Mm.
back, the cacao that he distributes comes straight from the source there, from the family. So it's helping to, how you say, to help them, to support them economically as well. Yeah.
Wow. They
Yeah.
so
Mhm.
there's this thing called fair trade that they're doing right now, but I think fair
Mhm.
trade is what you're it's to me, it's like the felonious version of what you're describing, because fair trade is just a stamp that they put on it, and they could be doing whatever they want in the end.
Whatever they want, bro. They start investigating them a little bit, and then they're doing these nefarious acts on the back just for a dollar.
Right,
Yeah, yeah.
right,
So
exactly.
I'm just saying, um, be frosty. That's all.
Mhm,
Know your
mhm,
product and where you're getting it from and like that. Well, I just wanted to share with you, because you're asking me, and I'm saying that, yeah, here at the Omziel, we have ceremonies, and we also are working on a tab that we're going to be promoting it on the website as well. So if
mm.
people want to experience this ceremonial grade cacao, we'll have it shipped to your doorstep at a very affordable price as well.
Oh, that's
Mhm.
beautiful. And
So we're
I
working
really
on
do
that.
wanna I do really wanna shout you out for that, because there's something to be said about taking that extra step and actually getting a product like this. And I don't want to just call it a product, but a
Right.
resource like this, and getting it the right
Mhm.
way, you
Resource.
know?
Mhm.
Because it's so
Mhm.
easy. Like, listen, I mean, people, you have a clothing line and people say, oh, just outsource it to China and have them put it. It's like, wait, but what are they doing in China to print my clothes for
Man,
98
listen,
cents per
okay?
unit? You know what I mean?
Right. Look, in this country, in the USA, right? There's no
Hmm.
there's child labor laws. There's child labor
Right,
laws, right?
right.
Right? You know that, right? But but
Yeah,
but really, you don't need that here in this country. Why? Because they push them all overseas. That's why.
right.
That's why, because back in the 1940s and before, there were 9-year-olds operating heavy machinery and not learning nothing about reading or writing or math. They knew nothing about that, bro. In
Right,
horrendous atmospheres, toxic and dangerous places to be. But all of
right,
these child labor laws, man, you don't even need them in this country. Why? Because you just go to China, you go to Indonesia, you go to Sri Lanka, you go to places like
right.
this, bro.
Go to the
Yeah.
Congo.
You
You
go to the
folks, you see what's going
Congo,
on in the Congo right now? Like
man.
all these cobalt, gold, uranium, all these things are being
Oh,
dug up,
oh,
and there's a lot of
man.
children
Oh,
doing it.
let's not get into
And
it.
these are
Let's not
crystalline
get.
structures. So imagine what's going. This is knowing yourself. You know what I'm saying? Knowing yourself, knowing
Right,
others. Like, these are
right.
crystalline structures and crystalline substances that are now going into devices.
Yeah,
So if we
yeah.
understand anything about biogeometry and the biofield and how that influences the environment and these different,
Mhm.
crystals, then what's now being passed on to the so-called first world?
There is a documentary that I saw yesterday. years ago. I don't really watch TV or documentaries, but I used to. Like I kind of
Mhm.
like started getting away from movies, and I just wanted to learn
Mhm.
and get these documentaries that are created off the beaten path. You know what I'm saying? Not
Mhm.
mainstream stuff. I'm not talking about the History Channel.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
try to stay away from that. They make good stuff, History Channel, but I'm just saying, like
Mhm.
do your
Mhm.
own. That's what I'm saying. Just do your own
Mhm.
research.
Yep.
But this one documentary that I want to mention is called Blood in the Mobile.
Mm.
Yeah, blood in the mobile. And you see about your mobile phones and yeah, it's hard. But anyway, look,
Mm.
getting back, brother
I
Cameron,
found it.
about giving blood in the mobile
I
is
found it.
people don't you don't want to know. You don't
Mm.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But anyway,
Mhm.
getting back to, you know, what is it that we're talking about here?
Right.
Giving people these tools, you know,
Mm.
helping people with these things. We're already dropping jewels right there. Brother Cameron is talking about some of these services that he's offering too, about the energy work and about
Right.
removing some of the blockages, right? Because again, like I said earlier, I was alluding to the lower parts of our body, right?
Right.
About
Right.
the root chakra,
Right.
right? You see?
Mhm.
'Cause that this
Mhm.
is these are just it's just semantics. It's just
Yep.
semantics. That's all. It's
Right.
just words. It's just words. It's just a words a
Right.
play on words. But the root chakra, and these are ancient again
Mhm.
from India. I mean, do your homework and you look. The chakra just means wheels, and oftentimes the wheels are not turning properly. They're blocked, and we
Right.
start to experience some of these things. And this is located, if I am correct me if I'm speaking out, but it's located between your private parts and your
Mhm.
lack of a better word for your anus,
Your
right?
anus and your genitals. Yes, that's
Your
where the root
genitals.
chakra is located. Mhm.
You see,
Mhm.
you see. So there's things that we
Yep.
can do to remove some of those blockages that also come from the DNA that come
Right.
from that, because those are these are your procreation tools, right? It's right there.
Right.
Your private
Right.
parts is right there. This is where the canal of the woman. That's where she gives birth, bro. You see? So getting back to that DNA,
Exactly.
we're bringing these things in from when we're born. Some of it we're just bringing it in, but we have the power to get rid of them. It's
Yeah.
up to us. All of this,
And
like, oh, this is just the way I am. No, 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 no.
yeah, and think, right? When we start, right? Once the sperm meets the egg, then we are one cell. And so out of two things, we become one cell, right?
Mhm,
I saw an
mhm, mhm.
interesting video too that it blew my mind actually a little bit that you saw on the molecular level when the sperm hit the egg, it was a big
Mhm.
burst of lightning,
Right. The
right?
Big Bang.
Yeah, the big bang for real. The big bang and then the little big bang.
Yeah,
And
no pun
so,
intended. I'm
no
just
pun
saying that
intended.
it's that burst of it.
Yeah, for real, for real.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so you had these bursts of lightning, but then you start as one cell, and then two cells, and then four cells, and then eight cells, and then 16 and 32, and all the way up. And
Mhm,
there are even so many different systems that deal with this, like the flower of life. I think a proper flower of life has like 64
mhm,
interlocking circles, like at
mhm,
what stage of development are we when we're 64 cells? But
mhm,
we all
mhm.
come from one
Ooh.
cell, and
Mhm,
that's the root chakra. That's the root right there, you know?
mhm,
And that deal and the whole package, whatever mom and dad gave us, that becomes us. And
mhm, mhm,
again, if we're talking about biofields and how much of each biofield are we given when we're in
mhm,
that womb for 9 months, how much are
mhm,
we interacting with our mother's biofield, right?
mhm,
So these are all the things like there have always been systems for rearing children. Like, okay, I speak about Africa because this is what I've learned about the most. It's not to say other cultures didn't do it. This is just what I'm more familiar with, right? So
Mhm.
in some cultures, even before two people got together, let's say they got together, they want to have a child, you'd have the shaman, whoever the seer is, the Nusi, the Sangoma, and they say, okay, this is the child that this community needs, that this is the child that's going to come through. Mom and dad would meditate. Mom would say, okay, I saw the baby. This time it's going to be a little boy. Okay. We're going to have a little boy. So now it's time to bring the little boy down into this reality. And then mom gets pregnant. And of course, the little boy comes out. But while the little boy is in the belly, the Sanusi, the Sangoma comes over and speaks to the child and say, okay, bet this is what the child is here for. This is going to be the child's name because this is who the child is, the ancestor that came back.
Mm,
This is why the child is here. And the
mm,
name that the child is given is going to reaffirm the child's purpose, right? So let's say
mm,
the community went astray. The child's name might be like Back to the Straight Path, you know? It
mm,
might be something
mm,
like that. And so they're going to create a song for that child. And anytime someone calls hey, back to the straight path, we going over to the
mm,
store after
mm.
school. You know what I mean?
Right, right. That constant, reaffirming right there.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's just one of the many overlapping institutions that was created to
Mm,
keep society in check and to deal with traumas and to deal with, like, if traumas arose for any reason, because the reason people might experience trauma in ancient times is
mm,
different than now. We have a lot of stuff now that they didn't have in those times, but there were
mm,
systems that were created for that.
mm,
And so I think that's
mhm,
why it's important for so many more people to learn about these things. Because you and I, we're two people. There's only so much that we can learn. But
mm,
then we each have our institutions. You have
mm, mm,
Omziel Healing Sanctuary. I have ARMEW. These are institutions that are created for practicing, but also the collection and then the training. It's like I train people in Reiki as well. I train
mm,
people in Qigong Tai Chi. I train people. So this is part of
mm.
what I do to pass this on and to create more scholars. So we have more of us who are doing this type of research.
Yes, yes, and I've also mentioned that the men's work that we do here at Omziel Healing
Thank you.
Sanctuary,
Thank you.
one of the arms of Omziel is the Wind Horse Rising Men's Experience,
Mm,
and we're putting yes, we're now putting one out there, and it's going to take place in May, May 9, 10, 11. I've yet to
mm.
announce it. Well, I mean, well, here's the announcement, right?
This is the announcement.
Here it
Listen
is.
up,
So
folks.
that's it. Take note that what we do is we take men away and we unplug them from the matrix. No phones or nothing like that.
Mm,
And we do deep work. It's only for a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Sometimes it goes on for a little longer than that. But
mhm,
we go hiking. We go to a national reserve, we go to a waterfall, we make food together, we eat together, we do a yoga session, we do energy work and such, we do deep work, we do journaling also.
mm,
There's lots of things that we do, bro, in such a short time. It's a powerhouse of energy that unpacks all kinds of blockages, brother.
mm,
Man, some people cry, and there's lots of laughter too, and
mhm.
guys let things go, and I had
Wow.
mentioned that another time too about I always think of the one brother who said, hey, my wife doesn't even know this. And we looked at each other like, "Man, you married to her, bro. You got kids with her, bro. You love
Right,
her, man." And he
right.
felt comfortable to let that go in front of us. So that's right. That's what we're doing, bro. We're creating these people, helping to create or recreate them,
Yeah.
to take those things off of them, help remove them and let them know, and show them, look, brother, look
Mm,
what you've been walking around with here, bro. And let them
mm.
decide. And then they decide, they look at it and go, what? Oh, man, I'm not doing that no more. I'm not gonna walk around like that no more. I'm not gonna treat people like that anymore. I'm not gonna
Wow.
waste anymore. Yeah. So
That's powerful. And I don't even want to gloss over that, what you're describing right there, this retreat, because there's the women, the sisters, they're doing the work. They're doing the work. They're going to their retreats. They're getting with their sisters and they're, you know, doing
Mhm.
whatever y'all do over there, ladies. But it's really important for the men to meet them on that level. We
Yeah.
got a lot of work to do, and we don't have the
Mhm.
institutions to do it. It's kind of
Right,
inherent with women, and it
right.
should be inherent with men, but it's not. We have to get back to that, fellas. And Omziel Healing Sanctuary is
Yeah.
providing the platform and the
Mhm.
institution. I've been real big on institutions in the last couple of years because I realized one thing,
Mhm.
you can't gatekeep what you don't institutionalize, and you can't
Mhm.
preserve what you don't institutionalize. We You and I might have spoken about
Mhm.
it, right? Like, what happens
Ooh,
when you and I in 100 years from now,
right.
100, two
Yeah.
hundred years have, transcended to the
Mhm.
next realm? What's
Mhm.
gonna be left?
Mhm.
We have to put it in a form that we don't have to be
Mhm.
there for it to keep running.
Yeah. Right, right, and we have to do it now. It's now,
Right,
now. The time is now. The time is now. Let's go. We don't have no time to waste, bro. We don't have to.
right,
In fact, we don't have as much time as we think we do.
right,
Humans are like
right.
that. Humans, they do say that humans is probably the only animal on the planet that knows that we're gonna pass on, but when the time comes, we're all surprised.
Right, every time. Every time.
Yeah,
I
every
can't
time.
believe
Like,
it
what?
happened.
I
Like,
can't
really? You
believe it.
can't believe it happened?
Really? Come on now. They told you from the jump, like you had
Right,
all this time to right. Yeah. So you're
right.
right. The time is now and we're building it. We're doing, rites of passage also. And
Mhm.
it's
Ooh,
a lot of
beautiful.
work. It's that type of work, brother, that we're doing that people don't want to do, you know.
Right.
You see? And I am the the steward of the Omziel Healing Sanctuary. Me and my wife, we're the steward of
Mm,
this home. That's what we are. We're just stewards of the home of the land. That's it. You
right,
see what I'm saying? That we're
right.
playing our position. That's the only thing we're doing here. We're just offering things to people. If you like it, okay. Or maybe you want to know more about it. Man, I'm quick to recommend another place to you. Yeah,
Right.
for real. I recommend plenty. I send people, hey, go over
Mm.
there, or go overseas. Go to South America. I know a healing center. You could go talk about unplug. You know what I'm
Wow.
saying? Buy your airline ticket. Go over there and go do some deep work.
And that's real. That's
Mhm,
real because it's about doing the work in the end of the day.
mhm, mhm,
Period, ladies and gentlemen. It's about doing the work. And
mhm, mhm.
we need to take that more seriously because, again, today we're talking about grounding, right? Coming back to ourselves, knowing ourselves,
That's right. Bring it home, brother. Bring it home.
and how do we do that but through doing the work.
Mhm,
We've given you a lot of tools, a lot of outlets. Y'all can go back and listen to this. We've dropped names so
mhm,
that when you see that it's not just brother Omar and brother Cam talking, but that there are people, institutions who are doing this research, providing the outlets
mhm, mhm,
for this healing. This is what, listen, two things happen that we know for sure. We come in here alone and we leave here alone on this earth. And what you do in between does matter. You
mhm,
have cultures like the Kemetic culture that
mhm,
they base their life around preparation for the next life.
mhm,
That's what they
mhm, mhm,
codified and institutionalized. And they let you know what happens when you get over to the other side and how you
mhm,
can prepare for that. It's like someone who's going on a flight for the first time. Well,
mhm,
you're gonna go now in the 2000s, right? You're gonna go through TSA, okay? You're gonna have someone, they might hit you with the wand, or you might just walk through the
mhm.
thing where you put your hands
Right.
up, and you're
Yeah.
gonna get on the plane and your ears are gonna pop. Your ears have never popped, so it might freak you out the first, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They
Right. Yeah.
prepared people for that
Yeah.
final transition. And
Mhm,
so how we transition, right? That's
mhm,
what we're ultimately
mhm.
working towards. Just like you
Yeah.
said, like we know it's going to happen one day. So it's important to prepare ourselves now and get, deal with those traumas. Like, people may not believe in reincarnation and all that stuff, but you got, a million years of people who do believe that there is some form of reincarnation. And they
Could be.
figure this out through
Yeah,
observation. So if nothing else, you
yeah,
got to wonder how they came to this
yeah.
conclusion.
I've got something for that, but that I'm gonna save for
You gonna
that
say
one. Yeah, yeah. I gotta save it,
it?
save
Mm.
it. It's just that's an interesting thing too. How people with humans, and I guess I'm gonna say just a quick thing, bro. Is that
Go get them, bro.
I was gonna say, but I gotta say it. I gotta say it.
Say what you gotta
um,
say.
when we grow old, what happens? Our skin gets wrinkled just like a baby. What else happens? We lose our teeth just like a baby too, right? What else
Ah,
happens? Our mind, we can't talk right and all that, just like a baby too. You see, so it goes on and on. So if you think about, it would help to support that idea. I'm not saying that that's what's happening, and I don't know. I'm just saying that just on pure observation, you come in like that, and then you going out like that too.
ah.
So thank you so much, brother Cameron. I appreciate your
Thank
time.
you,
I mean,
brother.
we went on a little long, but it was, oh my God, just fire, just fire.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it, bro. And thank you for everyone who's tapping in, man. This show is really growing by leaps and bounds, and we're gonna leave
yeah.
all the show notes also. And one of the other things that I'm gonna leave down below too is, people have been asking me about, what microphone that I'm using also.
Mm.
So
Mm-hmm.
so so leaving the affiliate link down low, and brother
Okay.
Cameron too. We'll do it for yours also. That
Right.
way.
And I do actually, we have one question. You want to hear this question?
Oh,
Take
I want to
one
hear all
question.
of them, man. Go
Yep.
ahead. Let's do it.
Yep. So do y'all think
Love it.
blood type has a lot to deal with traumas since y'all took the DNA route? That's the question.
Blood type. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Sure. Sure.
Because to me,
Mm,
that says, right, because now you're talking about blood type and traumas. Now you're dealing with
mhm,
ancestral traumas. You're dealing with,
mhm,
someone
mhm,
told me something the other day. Am I going to say it? I'm gonna figure out
mhm.
a good way to say it. But basically, she was
Yeah.
saying that she felt that her culture had an entity attached to it. I'm
Mm,
not gonna say what the culture is, but she said she felt,
right.
because we were doing some serious energy work the other
Right.
day. I was in a training the other
Mhm,
day, and she said, I feel like my culture has an entity attached to it. And that blew my mind to think that that could even be a thing, right? Because we were dealing
mhm,
with entity removals and all this stuff.
mm,
So saying that, with that question, now it has me questioning, right? Do people come through certain lines
mm,
also to heal traumas? Because
mm,
this is the thing. I'm gonna throw this in here too, bro.
mhm, mhm,
I just learned this. I can't remember the lady's name now, but she deals with biofield tuning. Let me see if I can find her name real quick. Biofield tuning, right?
mm,
And with this biofield tuning, she learned that you can actually, so an individual who's experiencing, whatever, they
mm,
can heal their family line moving upwards. So
mhm,
they can heal it by working on themselves. They can heal their
mm,
parents and their grandparents. They can
right,
make
right.
changes in the
Generations.
right,
There's
going
some of the
upward
prayers I know too. Yeah, yeah. Oh, going upward? Oh,
to their
you
parents and their grandparents. Yeah.
oh, I
So
see. That's
me as a
upward or going
child,
backwards? Going back, like
yeah,
you
backwards, yeah. Because the way
yeah,
she
yeah, yeah,
described
like
it,
that.
she described the
Going
ancestral
upward.
energy coming
Oh, I
down
love
like
that.
this
I love
and
that. I
moving
love
to
that.
the
Right, going
feet, right?
upward. Right.
Right.
Yes, yes, yes,
So
yes.
going up the line,
Mm,
up
uh,
the bio, what
right.
do you call it? The biofield, the
Okay.
ancestral biofield,
Okay.
they can help them. So it's like, so to me, asking that question, right, about the
Mm,
blood type, it's like we come down here and we're faced with a certain set of circumstances. We come in with the traumas of our parents. but
Mhm.
then we also have the opportunity to heal that and to provide the medicine to
Mhm.
that energetic line or
Yeah.
to that
Mhm.
ancestral line.
Mhm. 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 Mhm.
So yeah,
That's right.
maybe,
That's right.
yeah, maybe that's my response to that.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're talking about blood types, right?
Mhm.
So there's a few blood types, right? There's
Mhm.
eight main blood types, eight main blood types, right?
Right,
But
right,
why? Why? First of all, eight. That's an interesting number.
right.
But then why? Why? Why can't we? I thought blood was just blood. Why are they broken up into that? Why do scientists already know, right? That you could be, positive A or negative A, or B positive, B negative, and those type of things. A B, and then there's O, which in some different rare cases. But
Mhm.
yes, I love that. Yeah, I love that, man. I
Yeah.
think I have a question too.
Mhm.
You ready?
I'm ready.
This is coming from Instagram, and it's coming from a
Mm.
great brother. His name is Energy Orchestra. Check him out.
Ooh,
This guy,
okay.
yep, Energy Orchestra. Look
Dope,
into his feed on the
dope.
Instagram. Great stuff. I've sat with him, in ceremony. We've had some great times and stuff, like very open, right? He's stating that blood type has something to do with our potential abilities.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
And,
brother.
and that the O, the blood type O, are highly ascended and usually very old souls.
Mm.
You see, so that would speak to like the uniqueness of it, right?
Mhm.
And that it can heal past and future simultaneously. It can
Mm.
heal past and future simultaneously. So I think it wasn't more of a question. It was more of him stating some of these
Mhm.
things, just
Mhm.
information. And that's what we want here in the Clarity Code, for people just to get
Right,
involved. Like, speak up, man. Make some
right.
suggestions. Let us know you're listening. If you've taken a
Yep.
little thing, just a little one gem, if you take it like a little crit, man, say it. Let
Right,
us know, man.
right.
Let us know, because we're really, this episode really is talking about, being grounded and get releasing those negative energies that are located, origins in the lower portions of our body. Some people
Right,
call it the root chakra,
right.
right? And then speaking about how that would interfere with our confidence too, right? Yeah, because confidence, what is confidence? Confidence is accepting one's self. Know thyself. Because that's what
Mm.
confidence is, right? It's not the ego. Because when you see somebody walking around, oh yeah, they think they're all that and everything, that's ego based. And that's
Right.
false anyway. Because that person, when you go, oh wow, they got a big ego and they're so full of themselves and all that, that's just a
Mm.
lie. If anything, they are lacking self-esteem. They do
Right,
not accept themselves. That's why they're trying to project that. But when you see
right.
a brother that confident, you see him, right? Or a sister that come in
Mhm.
squared in the shoulders, and they're not talking all that nothing. No, they're observing, and you can see the confidence in them, right?
Right.
That's beautiful, because the ego really requires someone to be lower. That's what the ego requires,
Mm.
is that someone else
Right,
is lower. You're
right.
looking at someone in a lower state. You see,
Exactly.
but confidence doesn't require that. No, confidence
Right.
says we're all equal. We're all
Mhm.
equal. If
Exactly.
anything, let me help you. Let me pull you up. You know,
Exactly.
you could be this too. You can feel this too. And that's what we're saying in this episode. That is it's going for a while now. So
Mhm. Mhm. It
I
is.
think I think if there's some last things you wanted to put in, brother.
I just think that just to kind of cap what you said, like it's important for people to feel that confidence, and the way to do it is to go into themselves and really do the work, whatever that means.
Mhm.
There's so much stuff trending on social media now. Shadow work, that was one a few years ago. I've done my shadow work. That's good. Shadow work is good. You know what I mean? But it's like, how do you interact with people on a day-to-day basis? How do you feel about yourself? If you don't feel confident about yourself and who you are, then what can you do to transmute that feeling? Because again, you might just be carrying somebody else's stuff. You might just need to again look in the mirror and see, do you like what you see when you look in the mirror? If
Right.
not, why don't you like what you see? It's not about ignoring the fact that you don't. You have to figure out within yourself what it is that you don't like and figure out
Yeah.
what you need to do to transmute that. Because it might not be your aesthetic. There are people who we might say are beautiful who hate themselves. Why do they
Yeah.
hate themselves? Because they haven't gone deep enough into themselves yet.
Yeah.
So it starts with knowledge of self. You know yourself first. Know thyself.
Oh. Thank you. Thank you so much, Brother Cameron. I'm enjoying these conversations, man, and
Mhm.
lots of great information that we're putting out there, bro. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
Let's keep going.
absolutely. Absolutely. And
Okay.
thank you, brother Omar, for this, for really, being the catalyst for this, because this is major. Like I love your energy and I love your drive for this and your passion for the work that you do. So it's always a pleasure talking with you and building with you. I always learn as I'm
Mhm.
speaking with you every time.
Appreciate that. Same here. I feel it's mutual also. And, some of the things that we're both working on is adding some sort of like a gift or some sort of something that we can give people for making great suggestions to the show, and so we can
Right.
pick a subject. And we've spoke about some of these things offline, and I just wanted to
Mhm.
announce that we're building on this. We want to bring that you know to the people,
Right.
where people can suggest however you do, like email or DM or something like that, or call, text me. People got my number. It's all
Mhm.
over the internet, and
Right.
just let me
Likewise.
know, right? Or whatever it is. And then if by the end of the month, if we, when we pick one, we pick your subject, whatever it is, and we do the homework and bring it out, and then we'll send you that, whatever that gift is, that
Yeah.
energy exchange, so
Right.
we're working on that and many other things too. There's merchandise coming down the pipe. I mean, lots of things, man.
Mhm.
Lots
Yep.
of things. So
Yeah.
let's do it. Let's do it.
Yep. Well,
Let's go.
thank you, brother. And again,
Thank
folks,
you.
you can check us out at onthewakeupradio.com too. You can check this broadcast out, the replay on YouTube on Omziel Healing Sanctuary. I got that right, brother?
You did,
Right.
brother.
Okay, thank you. Omziel Healing Sanctuary on thewakeupradio.com. I always want to give a big shout out to super producer Cindy Ashby for putting the
Big time.
network together. Y'all will learn
Yes.
more about her
Yep.
as time goes on. For our On the Wake Up
Listen,
listeners, they
listen.
know about
Hold on. Listen, I looked her up. I looked her up. I looked her up. She's on this website, IMDb. You know this one,
right.
IMDb. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Internet Movie Database. Yeah, I read her bio now. Ooh.
She's gonna get a kick. She's listening right now. She's
Yep,
gonna get a kick out
yep.
of the fact that you
So,
brought
so
out
I'm looking
her
forward to
IMDb.
chatting with her. Yep, I looked her
Yeah,
up, man. Of course, anybody I
yeah,
deal with, bro. Like, come on, you
yeah.
for real? What are you doing? You playing? I'm not playing.
Right.
I'm not playing. I
Yeah,
want to work with players. I'm looking for greatness. I
yeah.
know. See, I'm aware. Know thyself. I know that
Mhm,
I am destined for greatness. I'm already great.
mhm.
I'm already doing great things, and there's greater things to come out of
Right,
the things that we're helping to bring out.
right.
So
Yeah, and I'll
big
tell
big
you,
shout out.
um,
Listen, yeah.
something about Cindy that you're gonna learn is she has a knack for bringing together great people. She has a knack
Manifest,
for bringing together great people.
manifest.
Yes, on some next level stuff. Yeah.
Oh,
So it's
love
like
it.
you know what I'm saying? It's like you were right at home on the Wake Up Radio network.
Okay,
For folks,
okay,
for your
okay.
audience who don't know, it's a network, folks. It's a podcast network. So if you're
Mm,
interested in even having your own show, holler at
mhm.
me, holler at brother Omar, and figure out
That's
how
right.
to go about doing that.
That's right. We'll help you right out. Well, there you go. Thank you so much, brother. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
you. Okay. So until the next time, peace and love.
All right. Peace and love.